Today's episode of The Read Pile is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/nerdupmedia. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
I'm Elle. Happy birthday, Gail!
And I am the sus man, Rick Sussman, and I also would like to wish Gail Simone a happy birthday.
I win. I was louder.
You are watching The Read Pile.
It's the week of July 29th. Comic book news.
And here is some comic book news they can use. Okay. Not a lot of news this week. Rumors about Channing Tatum.
Nobody cares.
Leaving Gambit, but there's not confirmed. Rumors that Steve Trevor will be played by Chris Pine, Captain Kirk. No confirmation. But we do know for a fact.
Yes. Let's move on to some real news.
To actual facts?
Yes, actual facts.
To true facts.
Yes.
Okay. True fact news.
Yes.
The Killing Joke is going to get the animated treatment like a lot of the other DC comics have over the...
They do those well.
They do those very well. In fact, we are almost guaranteed, no confirmation, that Kevin Conroy will be Batman, and Mark Hamill is going to be Joker. Again, those aren't confirmed. But
that's the kind of the news, like, if you hear it, it's going to happen. I mean,
so,
why wouldn't you?
Well, there's been a brouhaha, a hubbub.
Oh.
Some people have come out already and are wondering why we're even making this, because The Killing Joke, obviously, aside from being the Joker's origin story, famously features Barbara Gordon being shot through the spine, paralyzed, and though it is never confirmed, it is very implied that there was a lot of sexual misconduct happening to her. So a lot of people are actually coming out and saying, maybe we shouldn't do this movie, maybe we should stop glorifying The Killing Joke and being such a big part of the mythos. Your thoughts?
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I get it.
Wait, what's ridiculous?
Just the fact that people are freaking out about it.
Okay, so you're of the stance then that it should be...
I think we should go through with it. I think the idea of them concentrating on this supposed maybe happened rape scene...
Well, we don't know...
It isn't actually...
We do know for a fact that she's stripped naked.
Yes.
We know that. So that is a form of sexual assault. That is true.
Yes, I get all that. Now,
okay.
Here's the thing. Whenever you are making your own version of it, yes, you probably will stay with the actual storyline.
Yeah.
DC tends to do that with their animated movies, which is pretty awesome.
Because
it's like your comic is actually coming to life. Yeah, I love it.
It's very good.
So that's cool, but they don't have to. I can't imagine that they're going to spend like 10 minutes like showing you stuff or anything.
And in fact, in the book, if you read it, you only see a couple of images of her naked while Gordon is being pushed through this insane room to try and turn him crazy. It's nothing really highlighted. The bigger part of the story of The Killing Joke is this the Joker's origin story? That's the big question mark. And that's really what a lot of people want to focus on. But there is this whole thing about the sexual assault. Of course, this led to the comic being pulled, the cover.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, people need to understand that the writers are going to write their story. They need to show that something brutal happened. It was the most horrific thing of her life. Barbara Gordon went through some stuff. They were tasteful enough to not show you details of it, which... Even if they chose to, it would be an adult book, and that would be maybe a story, not necessarily they showed anything graphic, but if they wanted to, like if it was a novel and they...
You're giving so much credit to Alan Moore.
I know, I feel sick. But the thing is, he is a writer, he told a story, they did not go into detail like I just said, they just wanted to explain how horrific things went for her. And guess what? Bad things are in this world. Bad things are going to happen. And we can't just censorize everything. We don't live in a happy-go world like, okay, we're just going to just strip everything away. Okay. Like, things happen.
Villainous people do villainous things.
It's true. It is what it is. And I'm cool if they don't include any of, parts of her being rigged and stuff. It's not like I'm looking forward to it. I don't
It's not why
want to
you
see
would
it.
watch it.
But I'm defending the book. I'm defending the story. I'm defending the original book. I didn't see anything that offended me directly. I'm not offended. I'm not going to go crazy over it.
Well, it's time to be offended by books. Because now it's time to review some books.
Ooh, okay. Time for comic book reviews. Starting with Cyborg #1. Actually, this is from last week, but I didn't get around to reading it. I should have put it off longer because I wasn't happy about it. So, I really didn't know if it was another origin story or not. Didn't really look into it. I was like, it's a #1. Let me see if it leads to hopping on point, whatever. Because I like the character, I just haven't found a storyline I can stick with. Unfortunately, this will also be on that list of no's. I'm sorry, I try to. I find the idea of his origin story fascinating, and he's an awesome character. I don't know what it is. It's just when you start telling a story with him in it, and I just lose interest. I don't know if it's the writers. I don't know. I can't really blame anyone. It might just be me. I don't know. But pretty much in this, it is not an origin story. They do refer to his origin just a little bit, and they do talk about some other stuff. So you might feel a little lost when you're reading this because they're referring to some stuff that has already happened, but you can kind of skim over it because they don't expect you to know all the details of the story from before to understand what's going on now. So I guess it could be a hopping on point. I can't even talk, I'm sorry, but just not for me. But back to this week. Current times. The Shrinking Man. So, I thought it was. I read a little blurb about it. Like, should I pick this up? Let me get a little more information. Because I read The Shrinking Man. I just watched Ant-Man, and I was like, it's about the same time. Are they trying to play off this little guy thing, or I just wanted to know. Well, it's okay. It has nothing to do with it. They're not trying to play off of it. It just happens to be this guy that is shrinking. Literally, this is something happened, and he's shrinking. He's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, the way the story is told, it kind of flip-flops. It starts out where it's like, hey man, I got this problem, and he's realizing something's going on. I gotta go to the doctors, and then boom, it's all the way, I don't know the time frame, back, and he's like teeny tiny. And then, it goes back to when he's a little bit bigger, but slightly smaller. And then, bam, right back to where he's like the size of a spider. And then, again. And I can't stand when a story does that. I absolutely cannot stand it. It's cool if you kind of do like a flashback or something, but when you do it like 10 times in one issue, it annoys the bejesus out of me. And I'm done just because of that. I don't want to do that. It's cool. I kind of wanted to know what was going to happen with him and what caused all this issue, but I don't want the headache. So we're going to move along. But once again, my pick of the week, and it's a sad one. Help us, Great Warrior.
That cover is boss, yo.
It's pretty cool. I love I love her. She's so adorable. I want to put her in my pocket. And I want to take her around and bring her out, and I won't have to talk around people. Like, I don't like to anyway, but, I could take her out, and she would be the life of the party, and she'd be wonderful. It would be fantastic. I think my cats would get along with her. I really do, especially Baby. But believe this is the end. Or maybe I'll get surprised and it's not really the end. But it seems like it. It's kind of like an ending story. And that's what makes it so sad, is because it's a cute little story. And, you know, she's trying to fight against her mom, which doesn't look really like her mom. I guess that's the joke. I get it. It's cute. But she's like, oh, I gotta take control. I gotta save the ones that I really love. And we already found out in the last issue, she got shoved in, you know, to the bad place, and she's like, oh, I gotta take the throne, and the sacrifice that she has to make is it's just so her. You know, she's so laid back all the time, and like, oh man, I gotta fight this guy. But last issue and this issue, she really does become a warrior, and it's absolutely adorable, fantastic, and makes me go teary-eyed. I don't want it to be the last issue. Don't let it be the last issue. I didn't look into it to see if it was. I want a surprise. I don't want to know. I just want to find out. I just want to forget that it's the last issue, and then it won't appear again on my sub. Or I'll be surprised, and then there'll be an issue 7, and I'll be so ecstatic. Just saying, there should be an issue 7. Rick?
Well, thank you, Elle, for those depressing reviews.
Wow. You're a jerk.
Anyway, this isn't even my whole stack. I reviewed 10 comics today. I did Vines, I did Instagrams, I did micro reviews. I was the quintessential busy little bee today, and I still have more books to review. So, without further ado, let us get to it. To start with, we won't have a graphic for this one because, honestly, it's going to be quick and it's already digital. Justice League Gods and Monsters Superman one shot. Holy crap, this was good! Who would have thought, like, Mexican Superman would be, like, the most boss Superman ever? And, yeah, he really is. So, here's the short of it. The little pod that carries baby Superman in it, Kal-El, crashes in Mexico, as opposed to Kansas or Russia or medieval England or any of the other places that it's ever crashed. In this place, crashes in relatively modern Mexico, where Superman grows up on a farm, and he, speaks Spanish and all this other stuff, and he learns what it's like to be essentially a farmer in Mexico, and how, yeah, it ain't so great. And he grows up with a really strong connection to his sister, who is then paralyzed in a horrible accident, not unlike, Barbara Gordon style. Well, paralyzed, not so much the potential rape, but neither here nor there, of course. It all sort of changes his perspective on the world. And this version of Superman is not afraid to kill. He understands that sometimes that's got to be done. But that's because he grew up in a much harsher environment. And it's always sort of been a nature versus nurture thing with Superman. And if you want to get a really interesting take on the character, so maybe you're not into Superman, Lord knows I'm not a big Superman guy, I could read more about Hernan all day long. He was great, and I highly recommend it. Let's get on to reviews that feature things. Alright, let's start with Copperhead. I love this book. I love all these books. This is so good. Okay, have you ever read a comic book featuring a female sheriff riding a wolf thing on a space as a space posse while she goes to try and find her deputy, who's also like a giant like hamster rat man? You haven't? Then I have good news. Copperhead is for you. This is such an awesome book. I've mentioned how Drifter is a lot like Copperhead, and Copperhead is a lot like Drifter, but on different ends of the spectrum. Well, in Copperhead, we're getting away from Drifter altogether. We're going in a much different direction, and it's a direction that I could not be more excited about. No offense to Drifter, none whatsoever, but this is a story of... Okay, Drifter's sort of like a dust punk story. Copperhead is like a proper Western. Like, you've seen this movie before, but never in these colors and never in this situation. It's awesome. I really enjoy it, and you should try it out if you're into that sort of thing. Now, in the separate but equal sort of circumstance, with female leads anyway, we have Lazarus. Oh yes, issue 18. So if you've been reading along with Lazarus, and you should know that Forever Carlisle is a frickin' badass. She is pretty much an unstoppable war machine, and very literally can't be killed. Wink. Wink. Maybe. In this issue, she pretty much topples an entire battalion with her and 4 of her subordinates. And there's a lot of other subplots going on, and a lot of the storylines are all starting to connect. And just like any other issue of Lazarus, it always comes back to the main storyline. But damn, watching her work, watching her just slice people open, that's worth the price of admission right there. I really, really enjoy Forever. She is awesome. Now we move on to something slightly different, but also about an eternally living person. You see there's themes in my read pile this week. We will discuss now Rasputin. Rasputin. I've said this 100 times, I'll say it again, even for 7 issues. This is the prettiest book on the market. I adore the coloring. I adore the art so much. I originally just started picking up Rasputin just for the art, and then I fell in love with the concept of the story of Rasputin, who is eternal. It's not that he always died, or he was killed like 17 different ways or anything like that. He's just being resurrected, and there's actually a line in here about that. He goes, "I've died before, I'll die again." And it's such a cool take on the character. I want to show you guys one of the main splash page that you always get one of these in every issue of Rasputin. And just look at all that. Just look at the colors that Rosmo does for us. It's, this book I gobble it up every time I read it. I usually read it twice. But if we could spin up the graphic, please. Thank you, graphic. We have our pick of the week. Now, earlier I tweeted out photos of me opening up my copy of Sex Criminals number 11 because I was excited that maybe I would get one of the sketch covers. Well, I didn't. It's okay. Sex Criminals number 11 came polybagged, and if you go out and get one, you might actually get a sketch cover by Matt Fraction and Chip Zardsey, and if you do, please tweet us at The Read Pile. I didn't. That's okay. This is a jumping on point. If you have not read any Sex Criminals issues, you can read one now, and you can get on with it, and you need to get on with it, because it's funny, it's sexy, it's hilarious, and it's actually heartbreaking. It's actually a really touching story. And there is a cat war going on outside. There appears to be no major villains. Anyway, I really, really enjoy Sex Criminals because it's a book for people who are grown-ups. Yes, it deals with mature content, but that's the point. And they've been away for a little while, and they come back even stronger. This book is number 1 with a bullet almost every single read pile. You definitely want to check it out, and that's why it's my pick of the week. For you, our loyal followers of The Read Pile, we have an awesome offer from Audible.com. Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their awesome service. You can download some really great books like The Hobbit, the unabridged version from Tolkien. You can download Divergent, Lean In, lots of great stuff to check out. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/nerdupmedia. Again, that's audibletrial.com/nerdupmedia for your free audio book.
That's this week for The Read Pile. Rick, what's up?
So, have you had the opportunity to go to nerdupmedia.com and click the shop button and get yourself a swanky t-shirt? For just a small donation, you can get yourself a cool t-shirt. They don't have to come in gray, but the Angry Nerdgirl and I picked gray because, let's be honest, we are not very outgoing individuals. We are nerds, and we are proud of our nerditry. So if you want to get yourself a swanky t-shirt, you could go to nerdupmedia.com and click the shop button. What? Like, this is her thing now. She just leaves. We'll see you guys next week.
You know, you could talk anytime you're done playing on your phone. You can proceed with your reviews, if you don't mind. We'd all like to go home to our families.
You realize this is the end of the show, right? Like, all this, it's going to be the Because I'm in control of that, so this is going to be the end of the show.
I don't care. I don't watch it.